last ride. There's a taxi service that no one in the city talks about. It's been there for as long as anyone can remember, a service known only by the whispers in the dark corners of the world, a service that doesn't have a number, at least not one you can call. The few who've encountered it have a strange, vacant look in their eyes, as though something far darker than a taxi ride had ever taken them somewhere they shouldn't have gone. On a rainy night, as the streets glistened with slick, wet asphalt, the only noise was the distant hum of a thunderstorm on the horizon. It was the kind of night that clung to you, suffocating the air, filling every corner with an uneasy quiet. Kyle, a taxi driver for 22 years, had picked up countless passengers. He knew the city like the back of his hand. Every shortcut, every hidden alley, every street that looked deceptively empty but hid something darker beneath. He had seen it all. But when a passenger appeared that night, standing alone at the corner of Barlow Street, his instinct screamed at him to turn the other way. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows on the rain-soaked pavement. The figure was obscured by the mist that hovered low, their shape barely visible in the gloom. Kyle's hand twitched, the steering wheel cold under his touch. His gut twisted in the way it did when something felt off. But duty was duty. He rolled the window down. "You need a ride?" Kyle's voice cracked, and he immediately cursed himself. He didn't know why he felt so unsettled. It was just another fare, wasn't it? The passenger didn't answer immediately. Instead, there was a long pause, a silence that seemed to stretch into infinity. Then, through the haze, a soft voice spoke, a voice that should not have sounded so close, yet somehow was. "Take me to Styles Avenue." The words hung in the air for far too long. The name was unfamiliar, almost as if it shouldn't exist. Styles Avenue? It wasn't on any map. Not in this city. But the passenger's face remained obscured by the mist. Without thinking, Kyle nodded, locking the door and pulling away from the curb. He focused on the road, trying to shake off the gnawing sense of unease crawling up his spine. The wipers swished rhythmically, yet the rain only seemed to worsen, pouring down in sheets that blurred the world beyond the windows. It wasn't long before the cityscape began to change. The familiar buildings and streets, with their neon signs and streetlights, faded away into nothingness. The air grew colder, the fog thicker. The feeling of isolation pressed in on all sides. Styles Avenue. Kyle muttered under his breath, almost as if testing the sound of the name. "Where is it? I've never even heard of it." The passenger remained silent, his form hunched in the back seat, unmoving. The figure seemed to grow darker the longer Kyle glanced into the rearview mirror. An absence, a void, as if no physical form could capture the true nature of what was there. The streetlights began to flicker, one by one, until there were none left. The headlights of the taxi seemed to illuminate nothing but a shifting black void in front of them. Kyle gripped the wheel harder, trying to steady his shaking hands. Then came the voice again. It was softer now, barely a whisper, as though the passenger was speaking directly into his mind. "Do you feel it, driver? The cold is creeping in." Kyle's heart began to race. Sweat formed on his brow, and his breath quickened. The temperature in the cab had dropped, the windows fogging over as if the very air inside was freezing. He could see his breath now, thin tendrils of mist swirling in front of him. He glanced at the rearview mirror again, but the passenger was no longer there. His heart skipped a beat. The back seat was empty. Kyle's fingers gripped the wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. His stomach churned, but before he could make sense of it, the lights flickered one more time, revealing something terrible in the reflection. In the back seat, sitting in the passenger's place, was a figure that should not have been possible. It was a face. No, not a face in absence of one. It was a dark, hollow void with eyes that reflected a universe of suffering and despair, endless and bottomless, staring right at him through the rearview mirror. And then, it smiled. Kyle's hands went slack on the wheel, a cold sweat pouring down his face as the car swerved violently. The figure leaned forward. Its voice, a low, gurgling sound like something trying to speak from under the earth, echoed in his skull. "You shouldn't have taken me, driver. You shouldn't have asked. It's too late now." The darkness pressed in around him, the headlights illuminating nothing but thick, suffocating black. The road was gone. The city had vanished. There was only the whispering void, the unholy presence in the back seat, and Kyle, trembling as he realized, there was no way back. And then everything went dark. When Kyle opened his eyes, the world was nothing but darkness. No stars, no lights, just a thick, suffocating blackness that pressed against his chest like 1,000 invisible hands. He couldn't breathe. Panic exploded through him. His hands flew to his throat as if to claw away whatever was suffocating him, but there was nothing. No air, no weight. It was as though the darkness itself was inside him, choking the life out of him. The buzzing of his brain, the relentless pounding in his skull, drowned out everything, and his mind became a hurricane of fear. Then a voice. It wasn't the hollow voice from before, the one that had spoken in that cursed ancient language. This voice was different. It was closer, almost intimate, like it was inside his head, weaving its terrible words into his thoughts. "You took the ride, Kyle. You've already paid the price." Kyle blinked rapidly, trying to clear the blinding terror that clouded his vision. His senses felt wrong, disconnected, like he was floating outside his own body. There was no car, no road, no street lights, nothing. Who are you?" His voice cracked, trembled. He could feel the weight of his own body now, but his limbs were sluggish, as if the very air had turned into something viscous, like tar. The voice didn't answer directly. Instead, it hummed, a low, vibrating sound that made his teeth rattle in his skull. "Do you remember what you saw? What you felt?" the voice asked, as if it already knew the answer. "You're still here, Kyle. You're still riding." His stomach churned, and a rush of memories slammed into him, each one more horrifying than the last. The shadowy figure in the rearview mirror. The coldness that had crawled under his skin. The darkness swallowing everything whole. He felt the pull again. Like something was dragging him deeper, further into the abyss. The car was gone. Had it ever been there? Was there ever any road to begin with? But then, through the haze, he heard it. The sound of wheels turning. Slow, steady, eerie. He jolted upright. The weightlessness was gone now, replaced by the unmistakable sensation of being in motion. His hands flew to the steering wheel, but there was none. He wasn't driving anymore. His eyes snapped open, and a wave of cold dread cascaded over him when he saw the shadow again. It was sitting in the back seat. The absence of a face. The dark, hollow eyes. The void that was no longer just a reflection, but a presence. An ancient force that hovered between the living and the dead. "You're mine now, Kyle," it whispered. He froze. The words scraped through his mind like nails on a chalkboard. His breath quickened, the world spinning around him in unnatural ways. The taxi was still moving, but it wasn't driving down streets anymore. The city was gone. The sky was gone. Nothing remained but the eternal void stretching on, infinite, unreachable. Suddenly, the passenger seat beside him shifted. He felt it move, felt the presence slide forward, even though there was no one there. The whispering came again, not from behind him this time, but from within his own skull. "You can't escape," the voice said, curling through his thoughts, chilling every part of him. "It's already begun." His heart hammered against his ribs. The car, the ride, it was all wrong. He wasn't in control. And the longer he stayed in this endless void, the more something inside him shifted, like his soul itself was slipping away. "No." Kyle gasped, his voice trembling. "This can't be real." The figure behind him moved, as if it was now aware of his every thought. Slowly, it leaned forward, and the temperature inside the car plummeted. A suffocating, unbearable cold settled over him, pressing against his skin like a vice. And then the figure whispered again, but this time the words were clearer, more personal. "We are not in the world you knew, Kyle. This is the last ride, and you won't be going back. You can never leave." His vision blurred. The edges of reality began to fray, and all that was left was the stifling darkness that swallowed him whole. His pulse raced. His breath came in frantic gasps. The car's wheels screeched, but no road was beneath them, just endless night. A sound, sharp, unnatural, cut through the suffocating air. A kind of scraping. A sound like bone against stone. Something was coming. He tried to scream, but the words died in his throat. His body felt trapped in time, paralyzed, as if the darkness was folding over him like a grave. The scraping grew louder, closer. There was no escape. And then, in a flash of sickening clarity, Kyle realized the truth. The ride would never stop. The terror would never end. The figure, the voice, the cursed taxi, it had all been leading to this. His body, his soul, they had been claimed the moment he had accepted that fateful ride. And now, as the darkness thickened, as the last remnants of his reality shattered into a million pieces, Kyle felt it. The presence, the ancient force, now fully inside him. Its whispers echoed louder in his mind, like a maddening symphony of horrors he could never forget. "It's already too late for you, Kyle. You belong to us now. The end. Or is it? You've heard the story. But do you think it's over? You've been listening. Watching. You felt it, haven't you? The creeping, cold hand of something watching you. Subscribe. You've already come too far. You might want to know what happens next. But be careful. Something has noticed you too. It won't stop.